I've been out here hustling all my life. Every day we get into it. Really out here in these streets. That's day and night. Like there's nothing to it. When I was going through it, dog, I never got your call. I never asked for nothing, no. But now I want it all. I promise I'ma do it. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Montana Method podcast one more time. As always, your host, Nelson Rodriguez Jr., author of Montana Method. Today, I have a very, very special guest, my good friend, Mr. Laz Martino. Welcome to the show.
Yo, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Been looking forward to this for a
Absolutely.
while. Invited him when I was at my old studio. Stuff happened, but now we're here, and I'm excited to have this conversation with him. We're going to talk about everything he's up to. He's a hell of a comedian, very funny guy. He's gone viral a couple times on TikTok.
Thank you.
He's going to be having a show coming up at the Improv, which we're going to talk about. So stay tuned, and we will get into everything, Mr. Laz Martino. What's up,
Yes,
brother?
sir. What's up? How's it going?
Good to have you, man.
Good, good. I love the theme of the Scarface, man. It's like you're Manolo. You're Manolo, man, and I'm Tony Montana. I got so much. I ate so much octopus. I got it coming out of fucking ears, man.
You know, it's crazy. He wears a gold ring with a ruby.
That's right, man. I want to be Tony Montana. You know.
Yeah,
It's great. It's great. The concept is great. I love this graphic that you have.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
He was very inspiring to me as a kid. I didn't grow up with a lot of examples of people who went out and got what they wanted.
Yes.
So for me, being able to watch Scarface as a kid, see a Cuban dude who just showed up here with holes in his shoes and was like, you know, I'm gonna take over, and he did. It's really inspiring stuff. A lot of people don't understand how I can get so inspired from a dude who was like this crazy drug dealer.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of the positive, you know what I mean? A lot of the good stuff you can pull from that.
It's a story about struggle and about redemption, and the fact that, you know, I call the Scarface, I call it the Cuban Godfather.
Yeah,
movie.
pretty much.
Because, you know, you
the Godfather is talking about the fact that Natalia Pampas is about city. I didn't know he was.
and then you had Pacino blame Michael Corleone. That's good for you, Bob.
Natalia's a traitor.
And then you have him now, you know, doing his own thing. Oh, yeah, man, what's all that? What are you talking about, man? You know, and it was great. It was great that he ventured on from Michael into Tony.
Right.
I've always loved that film. That's an epic movie. You
Definitely.
know? And it talks about the whole thing about redemption, you know, and regret.
Just hit the 40-year anniversary last month.
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, he uses his sister. For those who haven't seen it, but sorry, he kills his sister, and she becomes a level of redemption, a level of what did I do, you know, what happened, you know, and so it's a great story that goes beyond, you know, has nothing to really do with drugs so much as a guy who just wanted to go in and first try to survive and then end up going too far, and then in the process of going far, losing it all and losing his life, you know. Brian De Palma's a great director.
Great director.
And, you know, you got your moments of comedy, you know. Her womb is so polluted, man. I can't even have a baby with her. You know, I mean, but you got, like, just Michelle Pfeiffer.
You want to have some ice cream with my friend and me?
You want to have some ice cream, man? Hey, what's up? Yeah.
Get lost, greaseball.
Right, you know.
I know the whole movie by heart.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great film, you know.
Definitely.
But
you kiss me if I wear the hat?
Don't kiss me if I wear
No. Playtime's over, okay?
Right. I'm not your baby. You know. Oh, come on, baby. Yeah.
Now you're talking to me. Not alike. You're talking to me,
Not
man.
even if I was blind in an island alone, would I fuck you? Okay, man. You know.
That chick is what? She like me.
She like me, man. Yeah.
And it's like, bro, who are you talking to? That chick can't stand the fucking sight of you.
Tony. You fucking monkey. How dare you, Tony? What, you think I'm a busboy? I mean, there's so many lines in that film.
So, you know what's my favorite? It's crazy. People in the scene where at the end, obviously, when he's like having the shootout and killing all these guys, everybody's the most famous line, arguably one of the most famous lines ever is, you know,
say hello to my little friend.
Right, but he says one, and right after he decimates everybody, he's only got one arm. He's like, "You think you can thank me? You think you can thank me? I'm a fucking Tony Montana. I am fucking up."
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
You think you can take me?
Yeah. And then
You
the
need a
skull
fucking
comes
army to
behind him
take
and
me.
kills him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
bro.
Yeah.
It's like, dude,
Yeah.
you horse.
Yeah.
I love it. Like, and that scene where he's like taking it all, you need an army gonna take me.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I think that taught me such an important lesson.
Yeah.
Like, don't go down, man. Don't go down.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how it looks. Just go out. If you're gonna go out your way. Go out on your terms.
The character had his own, regardless of everything. He kept going, and even if they considered him stubborn, he kept going.
Yeah, 100%.
So there's a lot of that element in there.
Yep.
You know, that was included on keep doing the hustle. If you strip away all of the details of the story, it's about keep doing the hustle. Obviously, don't get killed, but in the dog eat dog world, keep doing the hustle.
100%.
You know.
Yeah, man. To this day, I still watch that movie, and now I'm watching it more from a writer's perspective.
Yes,
and
Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
Who I had the pleasure of meeting in 1994.
Wow.
At the book fair.
He's written so many great movies.
Yes, and believe it or not, I asked him, "What's the secret to making it in the film business?" I'm thinking he's going to give me this Yoda,
Right.
Seek out truth, you will. No, he says to me before he gets in his car that they were going to drive him off to the airport. He goes, "Work hard." I said, "Wait a minute,
work hard."
Even with the big guns, there's no secret. Work hard. 2 words. Yeah, I mean, wonderful writer, director.
Yeah. He's another level.
Yeah.
If that for me it's writing. So obviously I wrote a book. So writing for me, I'm in the process of writing a comic book. Hopefully I'll have it out this summer.
Yeah.
And writing a great story is you can transcend generations. Like a good story. I mean, look at the Iliad. Look at those kinds of stories.
Iliad, Odyssey.
Those stories have lasted thousands of years.
Beowulf, yeah.
Beowulf is another fantastic one. Writing, there's something about writing a great story that you can really impact and change humanity if you write with a good story.
Yeah,
it transcends it's almost like a spiritual experience to sit.
Speaking of, people forget the Bible is written word, and it has moved humanity. You've got, then you move on to other things like Shakespeare. That's moved humanity. Writing is very important. I took a screenwriter class with the writer of Stand and Deliver.
Oh, wow.
That had Edward James Olmos and had Lou Diamond Phillips in it, about a real life story about a teacher in East LA. And
great movie.
Tom Muska, professor at University of Miami. I think he might be retired by now, but one of the things that he talked about is a writer is like that horse in a stable who wants to get out, and people hold him back, and he wants to get out. I want this movie done, and don't run yet. Get the story done. Do the story first. That's the most important. Oh, but I wanted this and that, and then you're about casting and about the. Hold back.
The story.
It's a story. Everything else will work after that.
Fall into place. Yep.
And with comics, being a fan, I had the pleasure of meeting Stan Lee, and he was an amazing writer. Segue, Stan Lee actually wanted to do serious writing, like Tom Clancy.
Oh, wow.
And back when Tom Clancy was still a kid, and it was difficult. So he got by doing something at a company called, Atlas, that then became Timeless, that then became Marvel, to try to just get stuff done. So he writes all these stories. They evolve before he leaves. Tells Mark Goodman, his boss, hey, look at these stories. Goodman looks at them and goes, oh my God, thanks to his wife, told him, before you leave, show him these stories. In the book, it was like a notepad. There was the X-Men.
Wow.
There was Fantastic Four. There was the Hulk.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. So this was a guy, and funny enough about Spider-Man was a story that he wanted to fill in the Amazing Fantasy comic book.
Look at that.
It was a filler story. So he's there going, at home. Oh, I'm shitting there, watching the wall, and I'm saying to myself, I have to fill in something because I didn't have anything to put at the end of the book. I decided to say, well, there's a spider on the wall. Maybe I could put something about a guy who walks the walls and turns into a spider. So he fills in this story thinking it's like a fluke, and it turns into the biggest hit of the world.
Wow.
So writing is very important. And Stanley never thought in his life that he wanted to go write romance novels and be serious. So what does he do? His name was Stanley Lieber. And to be respected, he decided, well, I should keep my name Stanley Lieber. And for purposes of comic books, because people will be like, you know, parties and things. Oh, you write comics? So he's like, well, you know, let me come up with a different name. So he came up with Stan Lee as a pen name. And ironically, that became his legendary thing. When I met him, I told him, it's like meeting Moses. He started cracking up. And he gave me a hearty handshake. And he looked at my shirt. I had a Spider-Man shirt. And he goes, nice shirt. I go, thank you. And yeah, he's just one of the very big examples. Walt Disney's another one. Buying up books and animating them. Buying up stories that were amazing and animating. A lot of people think Walt Disney created Peter Pan, created Cinderella, created...
Yeah,
they were books that
already.
were already... And all he did was buy the rights. He was one of the first film hustlers out there buying the rights to books to get them... Because he knew the story potential and get them animated. So yeah, stories are very important. And that's awesome that you're doing, you know, comics, because I love comics. So is it a graphic novel that you're doing?
Graphic novel, yeah.
Nice.
It's a pretty big project. It's my chips are all in on that.
Yeah.
It's what I hope to be remembered for.
Yeah.
You know, shoot for the stars.
Well, good luck with that.
You know,
What's the name of the book?
It's called Sanctified.
Sanctified.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Very
super interesting, super original concept. I'm really excited. I've already talked to some comic book shop owners, and they're all excited to. They're like, "Man, you bring that straight to me." You said, "Yeah." You know, it's exciting stuff to create.
Yeah,
I think is life's purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's been a really cool process of creating this from nothing.
Yeah.
Literally, I got the idea just because I was fed up with the garbage that some of these comic books are. They're like, the modern stories suck. And I said, Nelson, instead of complaining about it, do something about it.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to do something.
That's how you started. Yeah.
And I wrote it. I have the first issue written out. I'm just looking for the right artist to put it together. Sure. Which is challenging, but I'll find them, and the goal is to have issue 1 out by the summer.
Okay.
So
awesome. I mean, I have my own art style. I don't know what you're looking for, so you can always check with me on that.
Sounds
one.
good.
Yeah, absolutely. I do animation too, so if you need it, you know, we'll do some shorts.
Oh, that's awesome.
Put them out there, you know.
Nice.
Yeah,
nope.
That's very cool.
Man of many talents.
Yeah, I started in advertising, you know, as a day job. So, but always loved acting, always loved comedy, always loved filmmaking.
Yeah, film for me as a kid was.
Yeah.
I had a wall of VHS tapes.
Oh, VHS. Yeah, I still have VHS at home.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I have a lot of cool. Yeah. Back when VHS was DVD.
Oh my God!
Literally.
You remember when DVD first came out?
Yes.
You were a baller.
Yeah.
If you had a DVD player and a surround sound, you were a baller.
I mean, Circuit City.
Yo,
we're talking back in the day.
Holy cow!
And then you had Philips came out with their CD system, and then you had DVD, and they went at the war together, right? Yeah. And in the end, I never forget that Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with John Candy and Steve Martin was the first and last film, if my memory serves me right, that was on both the Philips platform and the DVD platform. And DVD won the war in general. And Philips just disappeared. It was like VHS and Beta.
Yeah.
You had Beta fought and couldn't win the war.
Betamax.
When they tried to really push it.
Yeah.
And VHS was the one who just took everything.
For those of you that don't know what that is, because, you know. Yeah. Betamax was this tiny, it was basically a VCR, but it was a much smaller. Mm-hmm. And it was basically a VCR that looked like a tape recorder. It would go in, you know, it was pretty cool.
So you had the tape, and it had one window.
Yeah.
A little glass window. And then you saw the magnetic tape on the inside. And then VHS was the iconic.
Much bigger.
Had two windows, up much bigger. And so we had to deal with what's called tracking, where you were watching a movie and all of a sudden the film was going on and you had the snow on the screen and you're like, and you had to fix the little tracking on the VAs. It was incredible.
It always happened on the best part of the movie.
Always in the best part of the movie. The climactic moment, the guy's falling off the cliff. You're like, you, I, why? And right there you're like, as a little child.
You open you eject the VCR. It's the tapes all over the place.
Yeah. And then
terrible.
Terrible. Now you have like an iPhone and you can see it all there, but it's incredible. Like back in the day, it was good times, but
definitely
the technology was just so like overall it was cool, but the tracking was just like I remember watching Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And every time it would get to Jabba the Hutt, go and talking to Leia dressed up like Bosch when she's about to defreeze Han Solo, tracking would happen, you know. Horrible. You know, get through it. I'd fast forward, but you know,
watching, it's crazy because iPhones now, the iPhone 15 has like a 8K camera.
8K camera. It's incredible.
Just to think of the technology, how much I feel like the more we advance, the faster we advance.
Yes.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because we were just at 4K last year.
We were at 4K.
Just before that, we were at 1080.
Yes.
You know, it's crazy how fast things move.
We're going to 6K. I got a buddy of mine who has a drone.
And it shoots in like super crazy.
It shoots in like super crazy like resolution. But the most amazing thing is it has a stabilizer inside of it.
That's insane.
Where it keeps it stiff. And if a little controller has a screen on it and you can mark the person's face with a square, it will track the person.
That's insane.
So the person can move around and it will literally, whatever you do with it, it'll follow them. It'll back up and it'll follow them. And
that's some CIA shit, man.
So that's CIA shit. And speaking of, it has a chip inside where if you're near an airport, it'll detect the chip through the GPS and it'll shut down because of FAA regulations. You have to call the company, send them your ID number so they can unlock your drone if you have to shoot near an airport.
That's nuts.
Crazy. Like Area 51 shit. Yeah. So that happened 2 days ago.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just going so fast.
So funny enough, we work a lot with ChatGPT.
Okay. Yeah. ChatGPT is another one that's scary. I asked it to tell me a story about a dog in outer space. And it wrote this amazing story about a dog in outer space who goes to the moon, his family leaves, and then he has redemption with like an alien who rescues him and he comes back to Earth.
That's nuts.
It was like a Pixar movie. Yeah.
It's nuts.
It was like
how many interesting question now since we're talking about writing.
Yeah.
How many people do you think are using that for writer's block? Everybody.
I'm not going to name names, but I know many people who have used it when they have writer's block.
It works
for press releases, for marketing,
for everything.
It's a tool, and look at Photoshop. Photoshop now has generative AI. Dude. I was doing a campaign the other day where one of our actress friends who is doing a campaign for us, she had a different shirt on.
Wow! And
I traced the shirt, told the generative AI, "Hey, I need a Polo Petite shirt," and it drew it out in real time.
Nuts.
And then I recolored it, and it looks. She looked at it. She goes, "Oh my God, I didn't have this polo on. How did you do this?" But it looks super real.
Insane.
So if you do it right, they were talking about how AI has become like the new space race.
Right.
You have humans versus AI. The reality is, if you see AI as a tool and not as a lion that's screaming at you in a circus environment,
right,
you will have a wonderful time with it. It's a tool. So there's a lot of folks that are still adamant against it. Oh, this is going to destroy us. Not necessarily. I see it as the equivalent of a paintbrush, a calculator for an accountant,
a hammer,
a screwdriver for hardware, for a carpenter. So if you see it that way, you'll do an amazing bunch of things with it. Right. And so drones are the same thing. Drones are a form of AI, and they are every day. They've replaced the old film guys that used to have to sit in a helicopter with a camera and risk their lives strapped on and watch the old Miami Vice opening is iconic. Was on a helicopter with a Panavision camera.
Now you get a drone.
Now you get a drone. You just do the whole thing. The movie Ticket to Paradise that had George Clooney and Julia Roberts in it. They filmed it in Bali, and beautiful shots, drone shots of the island. And so it does destroy a lot of jobs, But it's all about survival of the fittest and
100%.
surviving. And I knew a lot of guys when I was studying first at the beginning, in the 90s, design. I knew one guy, Bob Parker, wonderful guy. He, talented man. He was one of the guys who illustrated the 2001 Space Odyssey poster. He was an instrument in doing the logo for Fisher-Price.
Wow.
And he was in the class I was in, retooling himself at 50-something years old to learn Photoshop. So you just keep going and just survive and adapt.
You have to adapt.
And if you do that, yes, again, a lot of jobs are lost, but everybody starts to readapt, and you do a lot of incredible things that you probably couldn't do before.
What I like about AI is that it's repurposing tasks that where humans shouldn't be. You shouldn't sit in front of a computer screen for 8 hours to do data entry. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't sit there and have to write up. Just tell the AI, listen, I wrote this up, spell check it. Just these things, these certain things where I shouldn't have to sit there in front of my book and spell check every little word. It's going to take me 6 weeks.
Well, even a spell checker, like your classic spell checker
Done.
is a form of early AI. Hey, check spelling.
Done.
That was it. That's an
Exactly.
early AI. We're used to it. We don't realize it, but that's so.
Right.
And we'll look back 10 years now and we'll say, wow, it's incredible. All the things that folks did,
Right.
like what you mentioned,
That we don't need
we
anymore.
don't need anymore. And we'd be more productive and being more successful at
100%.
expanding our minds.
And going after things that you're actually passionate about in life.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I personally know somebody who is actually doing graphic art, but that's not. They're not a graphic art person. Like they use AI to make this stuff. They don't know how to use Photoshop. It's crazy. So check out what they do. So they go on Fiverr and they're like, "Hey, I'll make you. I'll make you."
That and Canva are the enemy of us designers.
Yeah, I know. Tell
Forget
me
about
about it.
AI.
So they're like, "Hey, I make a logo for X amount of dollars." Great, bro. He goes on the AI, types in boom, 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 comes up with like 7 options. Which one do you want? All right, cool. $50. It's nuts. And guess what? The guy was, but the moral of the story is, I know I'm talking to the designer, but the moral of the story is he was able to quit his job. Why? Because now he has something where AI makes something that where it can do it in seconds. He provides a good service, and now he has time to focus on his passion.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Which is music.
Yeah.
Or was it music or he's a musician. So he gets to look for gigs and all that stuff, write music, record. He can go do those things. And this that wasn't an opportunity for him before, he gets to use it. You know what I mean? So
and another buddy of mine mentioned something which is very true. It's AI is also, if you have writer's block, it's very good for that. It's also very good for brainstorming. So
coming up with ideas. Yeah,
you got the guys like your friend who is able to cut to the quick and charge this amount of money for what he's doing. But you've got, for example, yes, you can make Mona Lisa in AI.
Nuts.
But here's where the but is, which I discussed with another colleague that works in the design business. What's going to happen eventually is you're going to charge money, not for the art, but for the concept. The concept, the story, the approach. That's what you're going to charge for. So there's still a space for the creative person. But if you're not the painter or you don't have time to paint, you still have the space to be able to say, I'm doing, not just say, Ronald McDonald sitting down with Superman. No, not that, but something very clever.
Right.
And then retouch that, because I've worked with AI tools, and you still have to sit there and spend a few hours to really tweak it.
100%.
So a lot of people are very scared. I understand, a lot of people are scared about the AI thing, but I always tell everybody, hey, at the end of the day, it's a technology that it's not human, and you still can control it and work with it, and continue doing more. We're living in a world where there's a lot of downsizing going on. So technology kind of takes the space of that downsizing. So it's really about, if you're the only person in an LLC, right, you have now an additional employee with AI.
Right.
And believe it or not, do more. Now, eventually what's going to happen is you're going to have filmmakers facing a technology with AI where somebody can make a complete movie without having actors in it. That was one of the things with the strike.
I remember, yep.
Was that if you sign an agreement, well, you're signing away the fact that you might be scanned, and the day you're sick, well, your AI replacement goes in there, and which is not good. But eventually, it'll go back to the human side of it. So I would say, anybody asked me, hey, Laz, what do you think about AI? Because I got asked that a few months ago. It was like from one guy. I was like, hey, that's what it is. Don't be scared. It's just about how you handle the concept is going to be the one to take over. That's going to take over because at the end of the day, it's writing, concept. A lot of people are using AI for anything and everything, and it's just an experimental time. But when it settles down, it'll go back to someone wanting to hear a good story, someone wanting to see a good concept on a wall,
right?
If it's a painting, and that's something that I always joke with people: AI can't get fingers right. If you ever look at an AI of a person,
always happens.
There's always a sixth finger.
For anybody that uses Midjourney or any of that stuff.
Yes, or Discord, there's always a crooked finger. There was the famous picture of the Israeli child and the Arab child sitting together that went viral about the whole war thing going on. And it was, oh, look, we have to wish for this. And I said, hey, I wrote in the comment, hey, this is AI. Well, even AI, said the person, sees that there should be peace, of course. But, and not to trivialize a picture, but if you zoom in, the child's hand is upside down and crooked. So my point on that is, at the end of the day, you can have a great concept, and that's what's important. But the technology, as fascinating as it can be, needs to be, kind of curbed and disciplined. So always remember that if you're an artist, is that no matter how powerful the image can be, it still needs a human element in it.
100%.
So.
And for me, AI, so for the people out there, this is a message for the people out there who think they're going to build a whole business with AI and run everything with AI. Here's what I have to say to you. AI enhances people who are already productive.
Yes, it does.
It does not help people who are not productive.
Correct.
If you're not productive and you have nothing to offer and you have no value, you're going to suck with or without AI.
Right.
If you're good without AI, you're going to be greater with AI.
Yes.
It's an enhancer.
It is.
It
is.
For the people out there who just, oh my God, yeah, AI is going to do everything. No, it's not. Because it's still a very imperfect system. You still have to figure things out. And guess what? Even in movies where you see machines and androids and all these artificial intelligence, it's the humans working with artificial intelligence, unless you're talking about Terminator, obviously. But
and even with Terminator, you had like Stan Winston back in the day when he first did the shoestring version. People forget that Terminator Part 1 was a shoestring budget.
Right.
That was all physically done. As a concept, it was a physical puppet. And now it's all CGI, which is another form of AI. Back when Walt Disney, speaking of, Walt Disney went from 2D to 3D. During Toy Story. That was the first version of Pixar. That was the first version of AI. There was more control from the animator because now they had a mouse instead of a pencil. But that was still intimidating for a lot of people. And they got through it, but the root of it was human. And the same thing was with Terminator. So as an example, that was a puppet. Then it was animated, but it all started with the physical. So we go through cycles.
Right.
And that's going to happen with AI. It'll be back to the physical, practical reality but as Nelson says, you need to be productive. You need to be somebody with the talent to flesh it out.
Correct.
If you don't have it, it's just
and the discipline to carry it out, which is even more
exactly.
important. Yeah.
You're it's not going to go anywhere.
100%. Laz, this has been awesome.
No, likewise.
I believe it's been like 45 minutes already. It's nuts.
Wow, time flies, man.
Yeah, time flies on podcasts when you're having fun.
I know, yeah.
So, Laz, I always wrap up my podcast the same way.
Yes.
So, you typically ask 3 questions.
Yes.
So, question number 1, what inspires you?
What inspires me is everyday life, just looking at everyday people and seeing their experiences and witnessing anything. That always gets me. That's the visceral part. Is
as a comedian, I'm sure it's just an interpretation of the world around you, right?
Yes, it's an interpretation of the world around you, and then you've got the artist side also, where it's also the same thing. Watching people, watching things. Film is also the same thing. I always say that, you know, they always talk about art imitates life.
Yeah,
I say life imitates art. Because there's a lot of things that you wonder, how did that actually happen?
Yeah.
And it inspires you. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, life, even in its darkest moments, can be pretty inspiring.
Yes.
You know, there's always some root of things going on just within your immediate space where you can look at through any kind of perspective and be like, man, that's some inspiring stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that. That's cool, man.
Thank you.
So second thing, well, obviously, what's next for Laz? But we know what's next. The Improv, obviously. Yeah.
Improv, and you know, just hope that next film where we're just. I did a feature film a few years ago.
That's awesome.
Where I did the animated segment and the voiceovers, and it's called Investigation 13. It's on Amazon Prime, and it was shot down here in Miami. And the lead character was, you probably will know this being a fan of the '80s, Meg Foster.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Who played She-Ra in that kind of that Master of the Universe film in the 80s with Dolph Lundgren. And she plays the nurse Parson.
Oh, wow.
So it's a horror movie.
Okay.
So hoping for the next Investigation 13, you know, the next feature to work on. It was a lot of fun to do that with Orlando Viñas and Offer Sosman. So yeah, that's the next things.
Fantastic.
Hopefully a lot of creative somewhere in 2024. You know.
And then we got the Improv on what day?
24th of January.
24th,
7 at the Doral Improv.
Make sure to go check them out.
And this is huge. Like Donald Trump would say, this is really huge. I'm not quite sure, but everybody's wrong. But this is huge.
Hey, what are you talking about, John? John?
It's Dan.
Oh, that's right. This is a bunch of malarkey. Who's the president of the United States? I don't know.
You are Joe. You're the president of the United States. This is fucking ridiculous.
Wait, what's going on? Wait, who, what, where? Oh, wait a minute, what? Hey, listen, I just saw you guys. Listen, I just want to tell you, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Monica Lewinsky. I did not. I've been playing golf in the back nine. What the fuck's going on over here?
That was fantastic. Oh, my God. That was great. So check them out at the Improv. Definitely. Last question for you.
Yes.
How do you want to be remembered when you're no longer here?
That I did the best I could, was a good husband, a good son, a good friend, and made kids laugh.
That's awesome.
You know? Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, you're funny as hell.
Thank you, bro.
I'm gonna come check you out.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
It was great having you. Thank you for coming through. Alrighty, guys.
Thank you, brother.
Another episode of Montana Method Podcast. Special guest Laz Martino, the man of 1,000 voices.
Manolo!
Who you talking to, huh?
What you talking to? Say hello to my little friend, huh? Hey.
I love it. Alrighty, guys. So make sure you go check them out at the Improv. Push it to the limit. The world is yours. If you're not chasing a dream,
past the point of no return.
You got Paul Engelman. What a great artist. Push it to the limit. The world is yours. If you're not chasing a dream, life is meaningless, guys. So see you on the next one.
I've been out here hustling all my life. Every day we get into it. Really out here in these streets. That's day and night. Like there's nothing to it. When I was going through it, dog, I never got your call. I never asked for nothing, no. But now I want it all. I promise I'ma do it. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags.